how do you feel about reparations for Black Americans and others, that especially in this country that had to deal with the atrocities of, people who classify themselves as white?
Well, let me put it this way. I'm going to lose most of your Black audience now, but this is the way it is. The first modern human beings that came to this continent came from Africa.
Hey everyone, in this guide we're introducing our new AI indicator, which we developed in a partnership with OpenAI. This is the first.
And the people who are suffering the most from COVID are Native Americans who came from Africa. Now, if you're going to give reparations, we better start giving reparations to the people whom we raped, killed, murdered in various ways, and whose land we took. Let's start there. I'm all for reparations from there. Want to give them back the land? I don't think you want to. I don't think you would stand for that for an instant.
So let's stop right there. Go back and Ty's comments right on time, right? So of course Jane Elliott not willing to give up anything. And that's the question that we have to ask people when they're talking about ending white supremacy, ending racism, right? So are you and your people willing to give up land, power, wealth, and resources to equally redistribute everything y'all took? Because if you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to give reparations or end racism. Because that's what white supremacy is about. Being the world superpower, controlling everybody. So says if America falls, I'm not sure that they won't torch the worst. I'm just saying, I don't disagree, but listen to what she's saying. Like, she's talking about giving reparations to the Native Americans first. Well, my brother didn't ask you about the Native Americans. Let's start there. The brother didn't ask you anything about the Native Americans. You're on a podcast with two Black men and they're talking about reparations for Black people. And you bring up the Native Americans because you think that they should get reparations. Now, I don't disagree that some type of reparations should be given to any group of people who was done wrong by these folk. But what that got to do with us? Not to be cold or callous or anything, but what that have to do with us? Black people are fighting for reparations for Black people. We're asking you about reparations for Black people. Nobody asked you about reparations for the Native Americans. So I'm not even sure why we're even talking about that. But that's a fight for Native Americans. So you should be on the podcast with Native Americans, right? But another question is, are Native Americans fighting for their own reparations? It's not Black Americans' job to fight for Native Americans, the reparations for them. And then remember, Jane Elliott has the privilege, because she doesn't come from an oppressed people. She has the privilege to say what she's saying, but she just saying it. What tangible outcomes have we gotten from Jane Elliott? Let's start there. What tangible outcomes have Black people gotten from Jane Elliott? Drop it in the comments. Please tell me, what tangible outcomes have we gotten from Jane Elliott, right? And what tangible outcomes will the Native Americans get from Jane Elliott? I hear what you're saying. Jane. But what that got to do with us? He's asking you about reparations for Black people in America. Seeing what I have lately, I'd say there's almost no hope to work without. I'm just saying. I don't think the route, I agree with you, William. I don't think the route we're going is a route that's actually gonna get us what we're asking for. That's why I played the video first of the brother talking about Black unity, right? He's saying Black unity is a myth. Yeah, it's a myth because it hasn't happened, but it's something we should be aspiring to. Start on your local levels and build out. Everybody unite. Get your stuff together at home, and then you can help others. If your home ain't together, you can help others. But if we're not a united, strong, respected group of people, we're not gonna get nothing. Weak people get nothing. Right, Frazier. Jane Elliott hasn't helped any group of people produce any tangible outcomes. It's just been talk. Nothing. some hero.
But and you need to realize that they were the first Americans. We called them Indians because Columbus and other people didn't know where the devil they were. So they thought they were West Indies. They must be Indians. They weren't Indians. They aren't Indians. They'll never be Indians. They were from Africa, as we all were. So if we're going to start with reparations, let's make reparations to the first people, the first Black people who came to this continent. Let's start with those people we call First Nations.
Well, no, let the Native Americans start rallying for their own reparations. Once again, like Will Justice is saying, we need our own land autonomy and separation, right? We're talking about us, lady. We're talking about us. That's the Native Americans fight. That's not our fight. But once again, she has the privilege to fight for another group of people. She don't know what it's like to be oppressed. Don't let her, I'm a white woman. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Because they were the First Nations. I doubt very much that there are unless you're in prison, and that's our new form of slavery in this country, is the prison industrial system. You know it as well as I do. But if you aren't in prison, you're probably not being enslaved, and you're probably not living on a dirt floor without any electricity, without any running water, without any central heating or cooling or air, and 100 miles from a hospital. But there are lots of Native Americans who are living in that very situation. And now somebody's going to say, we gave them the land. We gave them a postage stamp size of the land. We did not give them anything. We stole from them and gave very little back. If you're going to do reparations, let's do reparations for those folks first. I'm all for that. And I know now that that'll make a whole lot of people of color angry. But you have to, if you're gonna try to repair this situation, you better start where the worst damage has been done.
Well, I mean, we can argue on where the worst damage has been done. That can be argued, right? That can be argued like a mug. But like Miss Ashley is saying, she's saying, save everybody but Black people. You on the show with two Black men talking about reparations for Black people, and basically you were saying, well, we're gonna save everybody but y'all can get a ticket and get in line. You know, things happen to other groups of people that's not advocating for reparations for themselves like y'all are, but you know, they need to get their reparations. Okay, you say got to get state senators locked in first before we can even think about national talk. I hear you, but I think we need to get locked in as a people first. Before we can even talk to the senators, we need to get locked in and have our stuff together. People are slaves for rent. Hey, Mr. Kerwin Cooper Sr., thank you for being here, my brother. Thank you. Jimmy, what's going on, my brother? Half Native American, facts. We're saying local, national, franchise, drop-in senators and business, social clubs, Black History Month, all that. It's like she's saying Black people didn't get injured like the natives, but they were hurt first, so they should get healed first, basically. That ain't our fight, lady. That's not our fight.
And what about the descendants of slavery?
I think the descendants of slavery deserve some kind of reparations, but I think the descendants of the First Nations deserve some kind of reparations too. And I think you can't do it for one without doing it for the other. And which one are you going to start with? Because you see,
well, Jane, we're going to start with us. We're not fighting for reparations for anybody else. Why would we fight for reparations for anybody else? And we've been getting the ass end of everything for forever. Why would we fight for reparations for any other group of people first? What sense does that make? How would that get us what we need? How have the Native Americans truly been an ally to Black people, to Black Americans, right? But even so, let's say they were great allies. What that got to do with us getting our reparations for what happened to us? And why are you so hell-bent on making sure we get to the back of the line? Why you want people to skip us? You want people to skip us in our own fight. What sense does that make? She's telling those young men, hey, I know you're fighting for reparations. I know you and your people are fighting for reparations, but hey, I think you need to make space for the Native Americans and their plight so they can get some of the reparations that y'all fighting for. Well, what sense does that make? What sense does that make? He says, I'm not sure, Chosen. I'm not even gonna act like I'm one of them dudes. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I have no idea. Native Americans do not want reparations. They want treaty land back. Somebody said they already got reparations. They got some, they got more than us. They got some stuff. They got more than what we ever got, though. I tell you that. Persistent traumatic slave syndrome. Did the Native Americans get some? They got some kind of stuff, yeah. And they got Indian claim. What they have? It says most large U.S. reparations to indigenous people took the form of monetary awards or negotiated land and cash settlements, not full restoration of historic lands, which groups received payments depended largely on legal venue, who could sue successfully, documentary proof of a treaty take, statutory fixes, congressional acts, political context, and whether claimants accepted money in exchange for extinguishing further claims. So they got like land and money and stuff like that, but you know, it wasn't like full reparations, but that's more than what we ever got. I'm just saying, we got to learn how to look out for ourselves. Me, Pat, PC been talking about this forever. We got to learn how to look out for ourselves. We've been fighting for everybody else forever and ain't getting nothing. What sense does that make? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and expecting a different result. Imagine beating your head against a wall just over and over and expecting something different to happen. You finna knock yourself out. I'm not a person of color. I'm an African born here and proud of it. Hey man, we here. We here. We've been telling people, man, we black people from America and we ain't got no problem with it. You know what I'm talking about? I think we should look and say, why does a white woman get to decide? Well, that's called white privilege. That's called, and remember, Pat talks about what he got something called WWF, what he calls white women fatigue, for women like her, who I'm going to speak for you. I'm going to tell you what should happen. I'm going to tell you all what you all should need. I'm going to tell you that this is how it is. I'm gonna come on your platform. You invited me on your platform, but forget what y'all talk about, because I'm gonna talk about another group of people. All right.
We tried to enslave Native Americans, but they would run away and get into the nearest village, and we couldn't tell which one. We couldn't tell them apart, so we couldn't tell which ones we had tried to enslave, and they got away. So we didn't start slavery with black people, what we call black people in this country. We started it with Native Americans, and we also.
Here's a hot take. If you have a message inside you that people are meant to hear, it'll never make the impact that it truly deserves.
Brought indentured servants here from other countries to act as servants until they had
chosen
worked long enough to pay back what it cost to bring them here and what they should have been paid while they were working. So the slavery didn't begin with people from Africa in this country. It began first with Native Americans, then with white folks, then with people of color, then with Africans.
We hear the word reparations being thrown around a lot.
What that got to do with what we're fighting for, once again, that has nothing to do with what we're fighting for. I understand the history, but that's for a fight for, if white people want to try to fight for reparations for whatever, that's for them to fight for that. Native Americans want to fight for reparations for them, that's for them. But that's not for us. That's not for us to make that a priority of us to fight for. Every problem we have is the result of chattel slavery in this country. Everyone she speaks as though we no longer have problems and should join her in the reparations for Native Americans. Well, that shows you who she truly is. Together we stand. We're seeing who she truly is. All that blue-eyed, brown-eyed stuff. Yep. She the blue-eyed. Or the brown-eyed, whatever one. She ain't no different. Teaching, what somebody said earlier, just because you teach about racism don't mean you ain't got it in you. I think she said she comes from that. You never stray too far from your foundation.